Looking back through my journey, it's now so clear that the culture we live in, the parties, the peer pressure, the everyone does it, the just one beer that invariably becomes 3 or 4, it's usually more so accepted in our society. It's social, it's fun, the workday is done. We celebrate, we mark the date, we punctuate our lives with harmless drinks that can easily tear those lives apart. Suddenly it's turned from pleasure to pain, the party to problem. Before you know it, you've got one, and everything you thought you had has slipped through your fingers. There's so much loss, well there was for me, all these things I'd achieved. The work, the money, the people closest to me, respect for myself, my hopes and my dreams. All these little but valuable parts for me have now gone, just like that. Loneliness too, the people around you have fallen away and now there's only you. And your addiction. It's hard work, you've got to fund it, fuel it, maintain it, hide it. There's so much secrecy when you're addicted. You feel so conflicted. You know you should change, but you just can't commit to it. Every time you think you're ready, it pulls you back in. It's like an animal, addiction, a monkey on your back, the beast within. If there's a good wolf and a bad wolf, the bad wolf always wins. It creeps up slowly and gets under your skin. By the time you see the problem, its claws are in.
So the Wallich is a homeless charity and we've got projects all throughout Wales. I work in Derwen Newydd, which is in Carmarthenshire in particular, which is a supported living accommodation for people in recovery.
The Wallich is a big part of my recovery. I was going through quite a dark episode in my life, suffering from an addiction, and it has given me the support to move forward and to cope with all of those issues in my life. My journey's been quite a lengthy journey of recovery. It started a number of years ago and there's been ups and downs along that journey. And for me, this was a crisis point that I reached in my life, and the door was opened here for me, which has been a fantastic opportunity to help me with my recovery.
A person in recovery needs dignity and respect. Needs them to be involved in their own support and own recovery. I think we mentioned recovery for an individual is individualistic. It's different for everybody. Well, your idea of recovery may be completely different to mine. Therefore, the staff and the project needs to be flexible enough to meet that need. Else, you're only going to be able to deliver a service to a small section of the people, because these people don't fit and these people don't fit, but you do. What we try to do here is to have inbuilt flexibility, so it's very much about the individual. What do they need? And then we need to go away and think, right, how are we going to deliver that? And if we haven't got the skills, we need to go away and find them.
From my experience, the things that the main things that cause addiction, they're quite, well, there's a multiple of contributing factors. A lot stems from maybe childhood experiences, trauma, mental health issues. I think it's still very sad that we don't look at dual diagnosis very much in society at the moment, and then they're two separate. So addiction and mental health, are looked at quite separately, but normally there are some things that people tend to use substances to mask the emotional pain and the trauma that they might have been through. And unfortunately, mental health services then are very reluctant to work with people.
The feeling of taking the alcohol, just at the time, in the present, took away the anxiety, it took away the worry, the fear, it blanked out emotions. We really need to harness those emotions and understand what those emotions are rather than to block them out. And that's what alcohol did. And the scary part is how accepted alcohol is in society and how easy it's accessible. So nobody really sees the issue at a very early stage. It's not until it's almost too late before any intervention takes place. And then it can quite easily become a physical problem as well as a mental problem, and then a problem with loved ones, with family, friends, work, you know, losing your driving license, losing your job, losing contact with your loved ones is probably for me one of the most tragic parts of my alcoholism. One of the most destructive elements that has taken place during this episode of my life. I've been here for 5 months. I came here after being in hospital due to my alcohol addiction, and my health was declining really quite severely. I'd been looking for help for quite a long time, but it's a very different approach to the help that I'd had in the past. Derwen Newydd really helps you get your life back on track, get back into the community. It's a very different type of support. It's very practical based.
My name's Alex Waters, and I'm a 3 Principles facilitator. Can you imagine if we'd have all grown up knowing that there was a part of us that was always, always perfectly okay, even if it didn't feel like it, even if we were having a really tough time, to know that there's still that part of you that it was always absolutely untouchably perfect, it's unbreakable, doesn't need anything else, it's always whole. Imagine what that would have done for all of us growing up, through the difficult challenges we've all been through. People know this deep down. When we were children, we kind of knew it. You know, we kind of knew that there was a part of us that was always unbreakable until maybe life events and life just had its, you know, it had its impact on us. So my background, way back, was in drama therapy and counselling, but it was really, ironically, through my own experience of burnout that I came across the 3 Principles. So I hadn't realised that I was on the road to burnout, as we often don't realise. You know, that things are building up for us. And it was through that period of probably feeling the most broken that I'd ever felt in terms of my mental health that I came across this clip of this old man called Sydney Banks on a YouTube video at probably 2 in the morning. And he was talking about wisdom and about your own truth and about the power of thought and the fact that we're only ever just feeling our own thinking in the moment, and that creates your experience. And there was something about that just cut right through the craziness, the anxiety, the depression in my mind, and I just heard such truth in that. And I knew that from that point onwards, that was what I wanted to share with my clients. I didn't want any more tools and techniques for a while, I just wanted to share that. And it's about, you've got what you need inside of you already. You've got everything you need inside of you already to feel loved, to feel peaceful, to feel connected, to change your life.
What brought me into recovery was I ended up in prison, and in the prison I met 2 people from the Wallich who was doing the 12 steps, and I got on that course and I found it helped me, so I went from there, and that's what brought me into recovery. My addiction, it was coke, weed, pills, prescriptions, and then it was alcohol. Alcohol was one of the main things because you can get it anywhere. It's everywhere you look. It's all over TV. You can't get away from it. So it's a hard one. Even now, like, I got an alcohol tag on, and it's still everywhere you go. So being new in recovery is hard, especially when you can't drink, but it's everywhere. So
Temptation.
Yeah, that's it. It is literally every time you walk in the shop, I got to stay away from the alcohol section because it's just too risky. That's the hardest bit now, just building trust back up and getting the bond back together. I struggle now dealing with it, but so far I ain't lapsed. I ain't gone for a drink or a drug, so far we're going all right. But it's dealing with them on the moment, the pressure, just the way your head goes. It's a habit of just fucking picking up a drink or a drug, innit? It makes everything better, makes it go away until you come round, or when you come round.
I think society has an unconscious bias towards addiction, and I think that's something that needs to change. I think that there's a lack of knowledge around the subject, and I think that's something that we as a society could improve on. I think the most important part that supports recovery is empathy. I think you have to have compassion and empathy for the clients and an understanding of the subject. If you don't understand the subject, then how can you support somebody through this process?
The worst part about addiction is you don't give a fuck about anything else apart from getting what you want, and you'll do anything to get it. You'll just burn people off, you'll break friendships, ruin families. It'll cost you everything. Without Gwelion, I would have been back inside by now. I know 100% I would have relapsed, and I would have took my alcohol tag off. I would have been back in prison. So the support what they give me has stopped that and stopped me relapsing.
The physical addiction I've overcome, now it's the emotions I've been trying to outrun, that I'm focused on getting through one by one. Each one feeds the next. Fear feeds anxious, anxious feeds depressed, depressed feeds stress, but you can cut them off before they get you. The trouble is you can't outrun your feelings. Understanding them is the only way to really start healing, and that's where I'm at now. I don't want a fresh start. I'm not starting anew. I want to rekindle, repair and renew. I want to be back with my children, they're part of me. I want to get back to life with my family. So I've immersed myself in my recovery. I want to share what I've learned, and for people to know that if you're stuck in addiction, you're not on your own. If you can just step out of your comfort zone for 1 minute, that minute might be what it takes to ask for help. Sometimes it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back, but I'm stronger now than before my addiction. There's much more to my story that's as yet unwritten, and the way I look at life has totally changed. The monkey's off my back, the beast has gone. My good wolf is winning more often than not. I've learned ways to cope with life's difficulties. I've shared the weight of my burdens. I've found community. I've got so much support and good friends by my side. And you know what? I think I'm going to be all right.
Come in. So this is my flat. So we've got a nice big bathroom with a bath and a shower. And the shower's tall enough for me, which is great. If we follow me in here, we've got the kitchen, nice big kitchen. Obviously still waiting on a few things, but very nice and clean. I'm very happy. This is my living room. My name's Gareth Morgan and I'm 32. What else do you need to know? What else do you want to know? Like 6'5". I've been a resident of Derwen Newydd for nearly 2 years, just over 2 years. There were many factors in my life since I was a teenager that kind of contributed towards my problem with addiction. Life was a series of downward spirals, but then I had my main downward spiral was in September of 2020, where I actually became homeless and living on the streets rough. I'm very fortunate in a strange way to have that day where it became quite clear that I had to choose a direction in life, and that's when I asked for help. Being homeless was very empty in every aspect. I lost who I was as a person. I didn't recognize who I was. You use alcohol at that point to make the day go by and to be able to go to sleep. I lost, I had communication with none of my family members. Your friends aren't really your friends anymore. Very much alone, very much alone. When I moved into Derwen Newydd, I just needed somewhere to rest my head. I just needed 4 walls, warmth, security, to kind of restart. A lot of good things have happened in the last 2 years. As you can see, we're in my new flat. It's a bit empty at the moment, but yeah, if you just said 2 years ago that I'd be here, I wouldn't have believed you,
How are you feeling about getting a place?
Do you know, in a strange way, I'm quite fortunate that I was completely homeless, because I get to basically start again in every aspect. So I am anxious, but really quite excited as well, just to have my own space. And I do feel like I'm ready.
Did you ever feel any pressure moving onward along those stepping stones and this being such a major event for anybody really, having your own 4 walls?
Yeah. Everybody's different. Everybody's recovery is different. When I realized that I could own my recovery, it was my process, it was my time, however long it took. As long as you're honest, I think the key is to be honest. If you're not ready, you're not ready. As long, if somebody says you need to do this, you need to do that, just say, no, I'm not ready. It's my, only you know yourself. And as long as you're honest with yourself, you know, that's when you can truly understand what's going on.
It feels like a discovery when you finally tell someone. You can almost see a light. It's not bright, but it's there. You're becoming aware, and that person can help you steer towards your recovery. You've found enough strength to say it out loud. Somebody's listening. The clouds start to lift, and it's not yours to carry on your own anymore. The person you told can help you hold all the burdens of your addiction. The financial, the health, the losses you felt, how you think of yourself, those secrets you've kept for all this time. At first, I didn't know how bad things were. My whole concept on everything was tainted and blurred, but acknowledging the problem was by far the biggest hurdle. Doors started to open, the light got brighter, but the fear kicked in, and I started to fight it. Fear of the unknown. I couldn't remember the last time I looked in the mirror. It would have meant facing the man staring back at me. But when things got clearer, I could suddenly see I was the negativity. There'd been all this denial blocking it from view, but with this new discovery, the denial fell, and I knew the man in the mirror had work to do. I had a mountain to climb. That at times felt too high, but with that helping hand I'd asked for, I knew I would survive. My future was waiting on the other side.